My name is David Pegler. I'm the pre-learning coach at FX Bootcamp. Trade for a couple of funds, and I do a couple of webinars around them, do some things. All right, guys. Once again, thanks for joining me. Okay, so so the point of this webinar today was to so what I did is I think that a lot of folks just get kind of I think that there's sort of two goals to trading. All right, one of them is to get as profitable as possible the quickest. Would you agree? In other words, you want to stop losing money and start making money in the shortest possible amount of time. Okay? The other objective is over time to get better, to expand your repertoire, to try to capture more of the market, maybe do some swing trading, maybe knock down some other things. But principally, the goal is to make profit as soon as possible. Okay, so I've identified 5 setups that I like in the market that I think that you can learn mechanically, and if you internalize them, I really think that you're going to make some money. Do I think you're going to make lots of money? No. But I do think with the right application of these, you could make, I don't know, 100 pips a week, which is better than a kick in the face. All right, so let's get to it. Well, I think if you want to make lots, you got to start looking at market fractals and a couple of other things, price action, a few other little goodies. But you can expand it. Once again, thanks for a good turnout, guys. I really appreciate your support, and thank you to FX Street for having me. What I mean by internalize is that, this is very mechanical what I'm trying to teach you. Hey, Trevance. It's mechanical what I'm trying to teach you today, and you're going to have to go back and look at the examples and be able to identify them in real time. Okay? So that's that. All right, now a lot of this is going to lead on from what we talked about in the monthly webinar and the webinar series before that. Okay, so yeah, I mean you can do some damage. All right, so the 5 setups I have are as follows, and if you want this document, I'm happy to give it to you. Send me an email, david@fxbootcamp.com, and I'll just attach it. It's virus-free. All right, so the one setup we have is our Asia continuation setup, which I'll talk about. All right, something called a Rule 9 setup, which we'll talk about. Okay, another thing called a pre-learning continuation, which a lot of these are david@fxbootcamp.com. Happy to send this to you. All right, and then our at support or resistance market open trade, which we had today. Okay, and then the beer and turkey sandwich setup, which we'll talk about as well, sort of the less favored of the favorites, but nonetheless. Okay, so like I explained to you in previous webinars, time of day, Maud, if we run over a little bit, is that going to be a crisis? Well, I think that one has to have, there's Mark Douglas, and just to steal from him a little bit, in his Trading in the Zone book, which I think is decent. I don't think it was fantastic. He highlighted a lot of problems psychologically that traders have, psychologically what traders have. Well, the thing is, it's like, okay, great, I know I have problems, but maybe you can help me fix them. It's like, oh, okay, well, you're now shot in the chest, but sorry, we can't help. So I felt a lot of that in his book, but he did say a couple of things that stuck. One is that traders tend to go through a few phases in their trading. One of them is when you initially start trading, you should, when you initially start trading, you initially kind of want to trade mechanically. Okay? And then that'll sort of migrate to more of sort of a subjective trading kind of outlook to things mixed with your mechanical, and then an intuitive look at the market, all right? So you're going to go through these sort of phases, and when you've got some experience, you'll obviously have a mechanical approach. However, you'll also have a large discretionary element. Would you agree? All right, and at the end of the day, guys, you can teach anybody anything, and you need screen time in the market. It's that simple. I mean, there's so many times you'll have a setup that looks technically sound, but there's definitely a sense that something ain't right. And then you've got to step aside from it. You've got to trust your gut in that. But as a new trader, you don't have a prayer. Because you're just like, oh, the signal's there, boom, take it. Pennies. So from that aspect, right, I do think you need some mechanical approach. Because it's not a PowerPoint, Dan, it's just a Word doc I'm going to use here. You'll get all the details, I promise. It is. Okay? Right, so let's talk about our first setup. Okay, so I spoke about this. In summary, what does screen time give you? It gives you experience. It's like if you come out of med school, all right, and the lecturer just spent the last year telling you how to do a lobotomy, and you're a brand new brain surgeon, and you get into surgery for the first time, and you've got to open up somebody's cranium. Chances are you're going to be better at it the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh time rather than the first time, even though you know in theory what you're supposed to be doing. It's like anything. All right? So screen time is going to give you that discretionary look at the market and that discretionary sort of aspect to things. We've digressed a little bit here, but I think it's a worthwhile discussion. All right? So let me try and teach you something today, and we'll go from there. Okay? How's that sound? Right, absolutely. You know, there's a lot of times we'll sit in class, Tobias knows, and we'll be like, we'll sit there and be like, yes, this is short, but it's not. In other words, technically, yes, this is a fantastic place to short it. However, you can look, big example of this, and I do this in my mentoring a lot, is, you might have a technical long on the euro. However, you look over at your Swissy and your Swissy's breaking support. You look over at your Aussie and the Aussie's breaking resistance. You look over at the pound and its breaking resistance. You look over at the Kiwi, its breaking resistance. And you're going to sit there and try and short the euro. Have you lost your marbles? Right? So if, you can see correlatory clues as much as anything else, but if you don't have any experienced hand, that's going to go over your head in a hurry. Isn't it? You'll also go through a phase where you know too much stuff for your experience level. So you start second guessing everything because you know too much stuff. You're like, oh, no, it's going to bounce there. Oh, but I see it could bounce there, but possibly it could bounce there. And really, in reality, you should be saying, well, this is up. I'm expecting it to go over support, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, Mike, I think to trade the euro dollar, you've got to look at multiple currencies regardless. So yeah, typically if I'm taking a euro trade, I'll probably take an Aussie trade as well at the same time. But to trade the euro dollar in this environment, you've got to look at the euro pound, you've got to look at other USD pairs, you've got to look at the euro dollar on its own merits. The correlatory value of things these days, is massively important. Right, and I'm not kidding with it either, Steve, you'll know too much for your own good. And it generally happens at like your 6 month to 1 year sort of phase, where you literally have too much knowledge for your experience level. And you second guess yourself and it just becomes a quagmire. Totally normal. Completely normal. And that's also a product of trying too much stuff as well. Guys, we've digressed massively here, but that's all right. Okay, so let's try and cover a few of these setups. All right, we might not get through all of them. Let's try and cover a few of them, and I want to give you a couple of examples so that you can go away and have something to go off. All right, so I've mentioned this to you before, and so much of the Forex market is common sense. Agreed? I mean, a ton of it is common sense. So a lot of the market as well is obviously trend definition, and then time of day, right? I'm a big exponent of Todd, right? You'll learn to like Todd. He's a friendly enough guy, okay? So let's take us through the trading day from Asia through to right now, okay? So we'll call this period here the Asia Open, all right? In other words, this is 8 a.m. Tokyo here. In other words, where your pivots for the day will reset, where your charts will reset, that is the beginning of the trading day. Would you guys agree with that? Some people, I'll get your question just a sec, Georgia. Some people call the beginning of the trading day London. From my perspective, the beginning of the trading day is 8 a.m. Tokyo. All right, for the benefit of this discussion, can we concede that we're going to start with that? Say, David, are you looking, let me scroll up there one sec. Are you looking at other Euro pairs to determine the general trend, or is there another purpose? Well, are you asking, Jordan, are you asking specifically about, well, the Euro is a big part of it. I mean, you can look at a dollar index, but it's really just the inverse of the Euro anyway. I mean, 60% of the DX is the Euro. So if you're looking at, effectively, what are you trading during the course of a day? You're either trading the dollar, you're either trading the yen, or you're trading a base currency of those dollar pairs. So, if the Euro is working, there's no need to really do anything else. But as far as the trend, no, I mean, you can have different trends based on the individual currency for sure. So 8 a.m. Tokyo time is 6 p.m. New York. Okay? So the basic thinking is this in this setup, all right? Our first setup is the Asia continuation trade, all right? And it looks as follows. Sure, Mike. I mean, this is just the way that I was always taught, and it just makes sense to me. And if it's not broken, I'm not going to fix it. Okay? So just work with me, and it'll kind of make a little bit of sense, I think. All right. So let's say that, okay, so what is our objective in the market? Buy low, sell high, right? People told you about this. No, it is 10:15 now. In Tokyo at the moment, it is 12:15 in the morning. In the evening, in the morning. So it's midnight there. Okay. All right, anyway, here we go. All right. So buy low, sell high. Okay, that is independent of trend. All right, so let's say that New York takes you up. Okay, late New York fades you down. All right, and you open Asia at a 382 to 618 of the previous day's trend. What do you think is about to happen when the Asia traders, when the Asia traders walk into the desk and sit down to trade? What do you think is about to happen here? Correcto. Okay, you're about to see this continue. Right, so this would be New York. This is sort of late New York. I'm talking like after the close into, we'll put you at late New York. This is sort of after the close into Asia, that kind of lull period. All right, Asia opens at support. You're going to make a little higher low and continue up. All right, And this will generally occur between sort of 6 and 7:30 Eastern. All right, this zone here. And price will continue up for a couple of hours. All right? Then what you're likely to get is this sort of at about midnight Eastern. Okay, this is when I start coaching. You get about an hour's lull right here. All right? Then you will generally get a continuation of, the Asia trend here. All right? And then if you open London, so this is pre-London here, pre-London being from about midnight Eastern, so from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. London time. All right? And then let's say you now open London at the highs, London open up here. What do you think's about to happen for London here? This is irrespective of trend. Yeah, I mean, exactly. So you're a London trader, you look at this, and you're like, well, I don't want to buy a high. Okay, if you break resistance up here, sure, you're going to catapult into the stratosphere. But if you high, chances are, I mean, not if you high, you know what I mean, if the market's high, chances are it's going to sell back down to support, is it not? Okay, at which point, New York will come in here and go, well, the trend was down for the day, however, we're at support to the previous day, and you'll get this sort of thing a little bit, and then it'll sort of define a direction, right? And you'll get a little bit of chop here as the New York and London traders will come back from lunch and figure some stuff out. But don't worry about that for now, okay? Our whole focus on this setup is this one right here. New York takes you up, late New York fades you down to the Asia Open, and you get a continuation. You will see this trade set up 2 to 3 times a week. It applies to all pairs, all yens, all crosses, but typically, you're going to see, for this setup, you're going to be trading what pairs? If it's an Asia sort of trade, what kind of pair would you typically be trading? And really, all of these moves slide across for the respective market opens. Yeah, you're going to be doing more like Aussies, a couple of yens. You're going to be doing Aussie and Kiwi for the most part. Right. Asia pairs, you want to be trading Asia, generally speaking. I mean, if the euro sets up, trade the freaking euro. Bank for Life here, it's just an MT4 plugin I have. Yeah. Okay. So what happens now if, okay, so this is sort of our Asia continuation trade. So how would it look like to the short side? Right, New York trades you down. Okay, all right. And then late New York kind of fades you back to favor the whole drop. Asia kicks in, you get a little change of trend, you push down, you get a little lull. Oh, I've got to wait for it to catch up to me. There we go. All right. You get a little pause here, you reload that sucker, and you continue for another 2 hours. I'm not sure I understand your question 100% English. Why does New York short with London? Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. It just depends on where the market open is with respect to the trend. Len, not specifically, no. Guys, go on my profile on FX Street under the speakers on the webinars there and watch the other videos. You'll get an idea as for what I'm teaching and how I trade specifically. It doesn't make any difference, Dan. It's basically a 35% to about a 60% retracement. Makes the difference. Think of your fibs as a zone. Certainly don't try and think of them as absolute numbers. That's a catastrophic mistake. Oh, you talk about the sessions indicator? Send me an email. I'll send it to you. It's free. You just plug it into MT4 and off you go. Happy to share it. I don't even know where it came from. Somebody gave it to me. Don't know. I cannot speak to that, Mike. I don't know. David at fxbootcamp.com. Or you can tweet me at forexdavid. Okay? Alright, does everybody understand this Asia Open setup? In theory. We're going to show you examples, but does everybody understand this in theory? Okay? You will do this sometimes. Okay? Now understand that if this doesn't set up perfectly, you don't trade it. And incidentally, this is the only way I trade Asia. I don't trade any other setup for Asia. This is the highest percentage setup that I trade day in and day out for the Asia session. Alright? In principle. Right. Okay, now what happens if you get this? New York trades you down and basically open Asia at the lows. Okay, almost always you'll do this. You'll peak down a little more and then you'll do this. Right. But that's not our setup. Okay, we don't do reversals. Alright, we only trade in the continuation of New York and the late New York fade and Asia Open at support or at resistance. Okay, and then, here everything will just slide across, right? Everything will just slide across. So this will be your pre-London continuation. So what do you think is going to happen here at the London Open? What do you think is happening here? Yeah, you're about to do this. So all that's happened is that everything's moved across a little bit. Instead of the fade coming from late New York, it's come from Asia and pre-London, and then you've opened London at resistance, and that dropped you like it's hot. Make sense? Right. So let me show you this. Okay. Right, the pink zone here is Asia. The orangey area here is, I see it's showing up as green on Hotcom. But the pink is Asia, the orange is London, and the blue is New York. Okay, check it out. Right, so what has the Asia direction been here? Down. This is the London direction, down. Okay, early New York, down. Okay, late New York, green. Okay, so the pink one is Asia, this is London, and this is New York. Okay, where they transition here is 8 a.m. London, right there. So much, I really cannot speak to that. I've never traded like that with any real level of consistency or even entertained it, to be honest, so I can't speak to that. Yes, I can. Yeah, if you want the pivots, here, I have a link for the pivots. You can download it yourself. There we go. There's that pivot plotter for you. Okay. Yeah, did you guys see how those things held like perfect? It's not by accident, bro. There's no genius involved there. It was like, oh look, overlap long. Anyway. Okay, so check it. Alright, this is our setup. Let's scroll this puppy across. Okay, we're taking a fib now. Alright, so we'll take it to here, considering that's the last major swing. Alright, here we go. Well, if we don't get through it, maybe I'll twist Maud's arm and we can allow me back on here. Okay. Are we opening Asia at, so in other words, we went down, we're opening Asia at the resistance. What do you think's about to happen? Chances are you're going to get short. Okay? And really, this is the only way I go trading. This is really the only way I go trading Asia. Okay, so here we go. Alright, so this is, we come down here, we roll down, come up, London takes you up, New York kind of cruises up here a little bit. Okay? Here we go. Okay, and we take our fib. Here we go. Right, so we're opening Asia at the 50% of the previous day's rise. What do you think's about to happen? Yeah, it's about to go up, isn't it? Okay, you mess around a little bit, but ultimately she cruises. Okay, and honestly, this is the only way I go trading Asia. So would this be a valid setup? Would that be a valid setup? No. Would this be a valid setup in this strategy? No. How about this? No. Okay, you might, in this one, you might have actually tried to do this. To be honest, here you're opening Asia at the 618. So yeah, you actually might have tried to long that. And yes, you would have lost money. Question, would try to trade if any one of the major markets is closed due to holiday. Yeah, I still think there's enough liquidity to go trading. Could I explain why the market behaves like that? Well, if you were sitting, Joel, think about it like this. If you go and sit at your desk, alright? If you go and sit at your desk and price has been doing this for like 10 hours the day before, for starters, what's in your head? What do you remember doing yesterday? Like, what's in your brain indelibly printed there? Well, I was buying some stuff the day before, right? Yeah. Okay, now it's like this. Okay, now you get to your desk and price is sitting down here. It's basically a buy zone of the previous day's move. So you're like, cool, man, bargain. I'm all over that. I remember doing this the day before, and now it's at support, and I'm just starting my day. Cool, man. Okay, take a look at, take a look at this. Okay, that's the one I showed you. This was Tuesday's trade. All right. Now, what you got to remember in these setups is that not every trade is a valid signal. You with me? So in other words, if you were trading this strategy on the euro right here, would that be a valid signal? No, right? You would have wanted to see it here. you would have wanted to see it here. That's resistance. This isn't. Yeah, it continues nicely, but in terms of the way that we're trading our strategy, that's not a valid signal. Would this one have been? No, because we would have liked to have seen it here. Right? So neither of these two setups would have been our Asia continuation strategy setups. However, you're going to scan 4 or 5 pairs and find out when it makes sense. That's the whole point of this, is that you can mechanically learn a handful of setups to put you in a position to make some money. Right? So what about this one? How about this? See, we just have to go back 5 days to find a euro example. But you know what? There it is. Asia open at the 382. It's valid. Okay, so, you know, not everything sets up perfectly, right? Here's a perfect one right here. Okay, Asia open, 382 retracement. Down she goes. Right. I don't initiate the strategy unless, right, the strategy does not get initiated unless it's at a 382 retracement on the previous day. So one of these, so this here would have been valid. However, why was this not a valid Asia strategy? And technically it looks perfect, but why would that one have been a problem? Sorry guys, I'm missing your questions. I apologize for that. You analyzed the 1 hour time frame. Well, Mike, I mean, typically I'm doing the top down from the daily all the way down. But this strategy you can basically just watch on a 15-minute or an hourly. Well, this is perfect. In terms of the 50%, it's absolutely perfect. But it's 2 hours early. Look, it's 2 hours early. It starts to get long 2 hours before, so it would invalidate it, despite the fact that it turned out perfect. Right, I went 50% to 1382. I mean, that's spectacular. But you wouldn't have been looking at it. It's 2 hours early. Okay, so this is a very specific set of circumstances. All right, so here's one. This is fine. This works. Here you are. Okay, so the thing about this is you got to remember, this is a strategy where you're trying to make a couple hundred pips most times, or 100 pips at least. It's not a trade setup. It's not a trade setup where you're trying to make 10 pips. It's a trade setup that you're trying to stay in for like 4 to 7 hours. Okay, and I'll put you the Asia continuation. If late New York takes the market long and Asia opens at support, the green zone, otherwise a 40 to 60% retracement of the new. Okay, so a lot of times this will be at the daily central pivot. Okay, so let me show you this. A lot of times your Asia continuation will be right at the central pivot. Okay, so the central pivot is the big dark black line here. Alright, so here's what I'm talking about. Role reversal is where support is broken and becomes resistance. Okay, so here we go. This is Asia open at your central pivot. This is Asia open at your central pivot. This is Asia open at your central pivot. You're starting to see a pattern emerging. When you're above it, you open Asia, you get a continuation. You're below it, you open Asia there, you get a continuation. You're below it, you open Asia there, you get a continuation. Amazing how that works. Exactly. Okay. This trading things, technically speaking, is not rocket science. Alright, so, you know, we're going to get through one setup here, the 5. Alright. How did I start? By reading as much junk as I could find. By getting led astray about 25 times to Sunday. How do I look at all the fundamentals? I basically read them so it can sound fairly academic, Mike, so that if somebody asks me a question, I don't sound silly, but they do not have a big role in my trading whatsoever. Okay, so here we go. I mean, I'd consider them, but you look at, there's no reason why the euro should have gone up today fundamentally, but it's gone up today. Why? Because it opened London at like a double reversal pivot area. It's going up. Okay, anyway, so here we go. Alright, to enter this trade, you're going to look for a 15-minute higher low to long or short, lower high to short. And you're going to go half size entry. Why? Because you have to give it a wide stop. Okay? You're basically going to take this thing, you know, at the whole fib of this rise and put your stop underneath the 78.6 fib retracement of the entire day's range. That could be 60, 70 pips. So sometimes you've got to go a lot lower in your lot size or wait for your short-term charts to confirm the actual long point. Okay? I'll put your half size entry, wide stop. Okay, entry taken between 7 and 9 Tokyo time. And the general sort of, this trade you'll generally be in about 6 hours. Okay, and the target is a fib extension of the previous day's range. So if you're coming off the 50%, you're targeting a 1382 extension. So generally you're trying to capture, generally you're going to be risking about 30 to 45 pips to get about 120 on average. That's sort of the type of trade you're going to be attempting here. Yeah, 8 a.m. Tokyo, so it just depends on daylight saving, sure. But yeah, 5 Eastern, I think mine's set to 6 right now. What is a double? Are you talking about a roll reversal? Roll reversal is when you see here how you have previous swing highs now become support. You know, and if you have a daily central pivot or something right in there, that's even better. So you're looking for, you're still looking for confluence areas to support, and, you know, you're still looking for nice confluence areas to trade from, absolutely. Alright? Any questions about this trade setup? So let's say hypothetically here, let's pick a pair. Yeah, I'm happy to. I just don't know how to share it. I mean, if you send me an email, David at FX Bootcamp, I'll send it out to you. So I'll have 100 emails, but that's no big deal. I do. I just got bombed, but that's cool. I don't mind. I'll send you this document, and I'll send you the pivots and whatever else you need. Okay. Okay, right. So if you watch my video today, go and watch the vid today, guys. It'll explain it all for you, and you can watch it at your own leisure. But we opened London today at a daily M1 and weekly M1 confluence here. She had daily M1, weekly M1 double overlap area. That's a pretty good level of support. It's just a very tough place for people to sell it. Almost impossible for people to sell it there, frankly. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And you can see that we held there we held at our weekly S2 on the pound and the M1 overlap. and we held at a daily S2, weekly S1 overlap. So pivots were pretty on point today. And went up to our centrals and just stopped dead. Yep, the old pivot factor. She'll kick in every so often. All right, any questions about this particular trade setup? So do you think that you could go along and figure out, this is frustrating, I was long this euro right here, got knocked out. Now she's trucking up, we'll have to get it back into that. Okay, so check it. I think Maud's going to have to hook us up with part 2 here, if you guys don't mind. Okay, so let's look at, let's try to find a pair that makes sense in the context of today. Fantastic. All right. Let's say that, nice bugs. How you doing, by the way? Okay, here is the, heck, let's use Aussie, shall we? Since we're referring to the Asia pairs. Okay, so here's Aussie dollar. Let's say we do this now. Let's just talk hypothetically for a minute. Let's say now that New York does this. Boom. Okay. Now what is the trend overall on the Aussie, the Euro, the Pound, and Billy O's Mother Joe? The trend at the moment is dollar strength, agreed? Okay. But let's say that New York now, this is the heart of New York. That's NY, not NY. Alright, New York takes you up. Now let's say New York lunch and into the evening we do something like this. And we open kind of in this area, Asia today. What do you think could potentially happen? Right, chances are it's going to go up, but it's going to be a modest continuation. Why? You know, you'll kind of get something like this. Maybe it comes out to like a trend line here like that. It's going to be a modest continuation because the trend is screaming to the downside. Right. So it's going to be more of sort of a brief spot trade to the upside. Okay, and then, you know, probably it'll short all the way back down to the bottom here. So maybe this opens up at the trend line, after making a higher high, at the fib of yesterday's rise, at this confluence support level, you got the 101.50 poor man's psych level then, let's say hypothetically that's also today's central. This would be your Asia continuation long between 7 and 9 a.m. Tokyo time. Alright. It's pretty simple stuff, agreed? And then London will probably take it down. And it largely depends on where we're starting the day, right? Okay. So guys, I'm out of time and we've covered 1 of the 5. So maybe, so I hope you learned something. I'll send out all those little goodies you need. A couple of things here is on Tuesdays at FX Bootcamp, we're doing like an extended day. So it's like 16, 17 hours and it's $10. And you can log in for $10, listen for like the whole day. And you get the whole training course. I'll answer any questions you want. You can trade along. And I do the basic training things. You can get to watch all the videos and I'll pick up all your questions. You get full access to the site. It'll be every Tuesday, yeah. Tuesday. Do you want a link? It's $10, guys. So £6 for you in the UK. Yeah, Jockey, just send me an email and I'll send you this document. It starts at midnight and shuts off at midnight. Yeah, so it'll start with me. And yeah, and you'll, I am selling you something, but I'm selling you $10. Yeah, so basically it's like 50 cents an hour. Because it's not difficult. It's not, no, English, it's not. You go to your little membership thing on the website and you say don't renew. It's a matter of checking a box. Probably take you about 24 seconds. Guys, Mike, I just don't trade like that. Maybe if you, I mean, I'm done selling you stuff because it's not my thing. But if you sign up for that Tuesday, Chris is the master of that. He'll teach you scalping. I do not have the link. Alan, send me an email, david@fxbootcamp.com, and I'll send it to you. I don't know where to do that, PA, if I'm honest. Right, so, yeah. Yeah, I would totally teach you that scalping technique if I knew how. Honestly, it's not my thing. I'm more of sort of a spot trader that does trades that last 2-3 hours that make 50, 60 pips a pop. That's more my thing. And if I can get my grubby paws on a swing trade every so often, so be it. GMT time. 5 a.m. Try and trade it. David@fxbootcamp.com. Right. So Maud, I noticed you just popped back in the room. We kind of ran out of time and I only got to cover 20% of what I intended. Would it be possible to have me on again? So we can finish this up. Cool. Such a cheeky euro, you know that? I had such great ambitions for it. Yeah, we'll do it next time. I haven't slept in a day and a half. But good luck further, everybody. And let me post this again for you here. And, you know, if you want, I try to update my Twitter as much as I can during the course of a day. It's 4xDavid. So I'd encourage you to join me there. And cool, it sounds good, Maud. If you can email me, we'll go from there. Okay? Good luck further, everybody, and I hope to see you on Tuesday. Okay? We'll talk to you later. Cheers.